So for today, we will be going through some digital marketing critical updates and also predictions post-COVID-19. So I think all of you here who are tuning in are very excited to find out a little bit more about what's happening now in the digital marketing scene, and some of the predictions that might happen after this whole pandemic and this whole MCO has stopped, right? So without further ado, I will introduce a little bit about Open Academy before I introduce the speaker. If you look at the screen, you can see that it says from Open Academy is actually the of Open Minds now. So we do marketing technology, we do digital marketing consultation, tech innovations, creative work, basically anything under the marketing technology belt. Open Minds kind of executes the plan. So with that being said, Open Minds is very passionate about education, which is where Open Academy kind of comes in. Open Academy is the education arm for Open Minds, and we do trainings, we do speaking engagements, mentorship, seminars, whatever that falls under that category. We have it falls under Open Academy. So with that being said, I'll introduce a little bit more. So we have served over 100 brands across APAC and Europe, across Southeast Asia, overseas, and also in Europe. We work with different clients around the region. We have been featured on quite a number of media sites as well. If you Google Open Minds, you should be able to find us on quite a number of media platforms. We have influenced about thousands monthly on a global basis. We do a lot of speaking engagements, like we mentioned before, in universities, in companies, in conferences. So yeah, we have very much in this scene for quite a while now. So just to share a little bit more about Open Academy, our goal here for Open Academy is really just to bring real life practical experiences, practical knowledge and insights to you, right? So as you can see from the first point, it mentioned there, no fluff from client to classwork, because all the people that are teaching you are actual practitioners within the industry. We want them to be in the know. We want them to know what is happening within the industry right now, so they're able to give you the actual insights and practical insights from what they have learned with their clients, from what they have learned while consulting their clients. We have quite a number, because we have been in the industry for a while, we have quite a number of partners, clients, and also people who have joined the Open Academy trainings, speaking engagements, which we try and bridge them together so they can have so they can build up their connection, build up their network, and be able to network with one another. We also have access to lifelong support. So what we try to do is we don't try to kind of bring you in for a training and leave you out to dry or leave you out to hang. We try and give you as much support as we can. A lot of the alumni, if some of you guys are tuning in right now, we still stay in contact, very much in contact with them. If they have any problems and issues, they have free reign to come and contact us and reach out to us if they need consultation, need feedback, or need any help. So that is what we are trying to bring here when it comes with Open Academy. We're trying to bring real life practical insights and education to you guys. So without further ado, I'll introduce a little bit about our speaker. If you saw the posters posted out everywhere, you know who our speaker is by now. He's Jen, and he's the founder and also an online strategist at Open Minds. And if you see that list over there, you can see that he has done a lot. But I'll just name a few highlights. So he's been featured in Forbes 30 Under talk speaker. He is also a lecturer. He advisory board for 2 universities and a lot more if you can read that slide over there. So I'm not going to delay you guys anymore. I will just move on and pass this time to Jen.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing great on this Friday public holiday. Thank you so much for spending the next 1 hour with us. I'm sure many of you have gone through quite a bit in the past 30 days, especially in the month of March, right? I think 2020 has been quite an exciting year. Many of us went into 2020 with a lot of enthusiasm. We want to do a lot of great things. And here comes mid of February, entering March, things started to change. There's this whole virus going on, they declared pandemic, and every country, every business, every individual is trying really hard to find what can they do right now. Right. So I'm just going to spend the next 30, 40 minutes with you very simply, just to share with you some critical updates, some highlights of what we have found working with our clients, working with some of the friends that we have in the industry, and to also share with you what are some of the predictions that we have found moving forward when it comes to digital marketing. All right. So very quickly, I'll share with you 3 recent happenings right now on digital. The first one is this. I think many of us can possibly imagine there's already a huge increase of spend on e-commerce. Many of us are spending this time making our first purchases. Maybe you've never ordered food in before. Maybe you've never purchased groceries online before. Maybe you have not bought furniture online before. But many of us are actually experiencing this right now. E-commerce has shifted from just being a want, from something that is very desirable. People can imagine, yeah, it would be nice for me to buy something online, and shifted into what we call need. It has become a necessity. With so many people flooding in right now, making their first purchases because they're afraid of them contracting the viruses, or because of the stay-home order. Right now, we rely a lot more on all these services out there. In fact, you will also notice that a lot of us are also changing our spending behavior, right? We have shifted from spending offline. Right now, we're adopting more e-wallets. We are also spending on subscription on Netflix or online games. The spend of e-commerce has definitely increased. Now, the second thing that's also happening is that marketing has changed now. If you can see on the slide, that is actually a legit Nike ad, all right? I think we have always been very accustomed with Nike ads showing strong athletes, performance, shoes, workout gear. But today, we see Nike promoting this particular poster of a face shield. And Nike is not the only one doing this. We see other companies jumping onto the same method in trying to reposition the brand to show the world that, hey, not just about selling products, trying to acquire users, but they also have a very strong social conscience. So what this means is that in the past 30 to 60 days, we have seen marketing from typical ad spend from buy now, buy now, buy now, shifting more towards a brand approach. And within this brand approach, they are talking more about rallying social support. They're trying to be inspirational. They're trying to convey their brand message to say, hey, we actually care. We are listening. And here's what we are doing. Nike is not the only one. Razer, the gaming company, is also producing face masks for the frontliners. You have companies, SMEs based in Malaysia, social enterprises like Pizza Eats, pivoting their catering business model into one that allows corporates or individuals like us to buy food for the frontliners. So companies have shifted marketing from ad spend to branding. And the common thing here right now is that many of us are just showing our support towards the cause. And in between marketing over here, you also see the rise of messenger apps as a marketing platform, right? I know a lot of us have already been using messenger apps. I'm not just talking about Facebook Messenger, but also things like your WhatsApp, WeChat, whatever you can think of, right? And there's a huge uptick even on messenger apps. For example, let's talk about WhatsApp. I think all of us are very familiar. Within just March alone, the usage of WhatsApp has actually increased by 40%. Now, if you think about it, the penetration rate for WhatsApp in Malaysia is 98%. Yeah, all of us probably on this session right now also has a WhatsApp account, a WhatsApp app, where we use it regularly. But within this period of time, it has expanded to 40% more on a daily basis. That's insane. But if you look at it, it's actually relatively true, because all the groups that we're at, we are right now using it to share more information. We're using it to forward where's the best place to buy groceries. Some of us are using it to share where roadblocks are, whatever the use is. But brands are also leveraging on messenger apps today as an alternate marketing platform to just social media or ad spend. Now, the third observation that's also happening right now is that the number of content on digital has greatly multiplied. Just look around right now. We have so much free content being given away. Sessions like this, webinars, there's articles, there's tools. Of course, there's a bunch of fake ones as well. But the consumption of this content has also increased. So it's not just the number of content that's being created that's increased, but the consumption of it has also increased. What does this mean? This means that a lot of us at home today, we don't mind spending our time consuming this content. And I just want you to take just a few seconds to think about it, right? Our daily lives at home right now. I don't know about you, but for me, staying at home seems to be more busy than going to the office. Why? Because we spend so much of our in between right now consuming content, communicating with one another, trying to stay in touch with what's happening outside. We're investing our time to learn, to attend webinars, to go into Zoom calls and doing all this communication just to stay relevant and afloat. And that's what's happening right now on digital. We also see a rise in this time where there's a lot of false prophets. There are a lot of sudden marketing gurus, sudden marketing experts that we've never heard of popping up. But this is what the world is today. Everyone is trying to jump on the content bandwagon. Everyone is trying to use this opportunity to create some branding awareness for themselves. But I don't think you want to know what's happening right now, right? I think many of you that are streaming in right now wants to know the answer to this. What will the future hold? What are the predictions after this? I'm sure you've attended many other sessions or at least read articles of what businesses could do after this, right? Whether it's still relevant, whether digital marketing is still relevant. But let me just share with you 4 very simple but very true observations that we've made and go into the predictions of why these things may come true. So let's just take a quick look into this crystal ball that we have. Now, the first thing is this, very quickly, it's that user behavior will change, guaranteed. Now, some experts say that it takes about 3 to 12 weeks to develop a new habit. Imagine right now, some of you are tuning in from Malaysia, some of you are from Singapore, some of you understand from Australia. Wherever you're at, you have different days in your stay-home order, your MCO or your circuit breaker, right? It has been about 30 days plus in Malaysia. I'm sure a lot of us have developed new habits. Some of us have never cooked before, to myself, started to pick up a little bit of cooking. Some of you have never attended a webinar before. Right now, you're attending a ton of them. Some of you have never experienced video call before. Right now, you're doing it comfortably. Some of you have never purchased anything online before. Now you're doing it, shopping non-stop. You're an online shopaholic right now. Behavior is already changing and it's already redefining what we call work-life balance before this. It's redefining how we go into entertainment. It's redefining how communication is done right now. It's also redefining how to stay fit and healthy at this time of time. So things are already changing. But not just that, right? If you take a look about stats, these are dictating how many of us actually do more of such activities. So it's not to say new users, these are the stats showing the things that we are doing even more. So research has shown that 38% right now is watching more online videos. Almost equivalent number right now is watching a lot more Netflix. About 30%, 29% reading a lot more media articles, playing games, watching more live streams, listening to more podcasts. These behaviors are already happening. And before you go in and say that, hey, these numbers has to be the younger people, has to be the Gen Z, has to be the younger age group that likes these kind of things. The older ones won't really care. Wrong. Let me just show you where this survey was done, right? That if you break down these numbers, you see that Gen Z is not the leading group of consumers that's actually participating in the increment of such activities. The boomers are also on board. They are the ones watching more YouTube. They are the ones also watching Netflix. They are the ones also on TikTok, right? Followed by the Gen Z and the Gen X, which, yeah, that's probably as expected. But the millennials right now are also still leading the way in a lot of all these activities. So why am I sharing with you these stats, right? Because the main point I want to get to you today, this morning, if you haven't already got it, is that because of all these behaviors and because of all these changes and uptake and inclination towards these new activities, one thing for sure is that 70% of all these new users will have a continuous use and consumption of this content. This means that if you are already very used to this lifestyle in the past 30 days or 60 days, depending how long you've been stuck at home for, you've been used to that kind of a convenience. You are used to roll out of bed, pick up your iPad, go online, read some articles. You're used to just sitting at the corner of your living room ordering food. You are used to just going through Netflix as a form of entertainment. You are used to working out at home. There's a good chance that some of these exact same user behaviors will be carried on even post-pandemic times. Because why? Simple. Once we are used to a certain convenience, once we are used to a certain activity and we enjoy doing it, chances are this becomes a point of consideration. Remember this point for a bit, I'll move on, but we'll come back to this in the next few slides because there's some sort of relation to this. But if you're listening and you're tuning in right now and you are a business, no matter how big or how small you are, and you're wondering, what is this implication? Very simple. Because of the change of behavior, because of the change of how users interact with businesses and tools that we use and the change of lifestyle, we as businesses would need to take a change in digital marketing. Gone are days where digital marketing is just setting aside an ad budget, blasting it online and say, hey, you know, guys, just spend 1,000 ringgit, just spend 10,000, just flood it and results will come in. I can just focus on Facebook. I can just focus on Instagram. Gone are those days. Why? Because of this experience that we're having right here, consumers are already forced to look outside of social media, right? They're relying on ads. They're relying on videos. They're going on TikTok. They're diversifying their own media consumption. Therefore, their attention span is split to be even shorter than what it is before. Just pure digital approaches will be a luxury. And you would want to be able to take into consideration a multi-channel approach to make sure you don't just focus and put all your eggs into a single basket. With that said, we're also looking at tremendous increased level of tech literacy. What does this mean, right? You look at the statistics earlier, if you recall, digital is not just for the younger generations, the newer generations. It's not just going to be the Gen Zs anymore. A lot of these things will become a need. And it is becoming a need once we realize that this can actually help us. This automation that we're using, this convenience of not needing to make an appointment with you, let's go down to Starbucks, spend 1 hour, order coffee when I can easily substitute it with a 30-minute Zoom call. I'm sure many of us would still rely on such technologies moving forward. And because of this forceful nature, right, because of this situation that's forcing us to pick up these new behaviors, one of the things moving forward and the predictions is that we'll definitely be a lot more familiar because of this comfort level that we're having. Let me just show an example. There are actually quite a few defining moments for tech in Malaysia. If you take a look at this very simple diagram over here, you notice that 1988 to 2019, there's a list of different companies that came in and rallied different parts of the population and consumers to say, hey, this is a new technology. And the best part is that every time when a new technology is introduced, when it's adopted, it is very unlikely for consumers to look back. Think about 1998. I don't know how many of you were born before 1998, but if you haven't, 1998 was a time where online auction just came in. It was the world of eBay. And in Malaysia and in Southeast Asia, we have a multitude of different auction sites coming up. And that gave us the introduction of, hey, the internet is a great discovery tool. I can buy things for cheaper. I can go beyond my physical stores. I can look at different things. And then specifically in Malaysia itself, 2006, the cinemas in Malaysia started online ticketing. Now that was one of the first foray into e-commerce, right? Where we can actually go to an app, download it, select your seats, make the payment. And that was the first form of micropayments online that is very widespread. And then in 2010, airlines started having online booking systems where were a lot more advanced, when you can not only book, pay, and get your ticket, but right now you can also check in and buy luggages and do all of that sort that we are right now used today. But that's already 10 years ago. And then 2012, there was the introduction of mass e-commerce. This is where the marketplaces started to come in, the likes of Zalora, the likes of Lazada, all these different marketplaces being launched in Southeast Asia, trying to drive the digital economy. And ever since then, they are still around and we are still spending on these platforms. Then comes in a very similar year, in a very similar duration, the ride-hailing business came to be. Uber and then Grab in Southeast Asia came in a very similar timing. And that's where we started getting exposed ourselves to the sharing economy. And that's where we realized that, hey, there's such a thing where I can start something, share the cost across many other people. And then 2019, which was just last year, feels like a long time ago, but it was only about a year ago e-wallets was introduced. Now, for those of us that are already using e-wallets, for those of us that have experienced the convenience of e-wallets, a lot of us don't really carry a lot of cash anymore because of the convenience. Now, if you take all this into consideration, right, you realize that this whole MCO, this whole circuit breaker, this whole stay-home order that we are facing right now, it's pretty much a situation that forces us to move forward, to quickly adopt all of these things, if not even more. And just ask yourself honestly right now, if you're watching, to ask yourself, will you actually look back? If you have get accustomed to this whole e-wallet concept because of now the cashless transaction that we're making, or we are so accustomed to ordering food at home, and you're so accustomed to all this entertainment that we have access to, even post MCO, and when we come out of this situation, will we actually go out and say, nah, I think I'll never order food in anymore. I don't think I want the convenience. I will always go out. Nah, I really don't like the idea of paying wirelessly, cashless. I want to pay cash. I want to go to the ATM machines even more often because I miss interacting with the machines. I highly doubt that. But if you are, I would really like to meet you because it's very unlikely for that to happen. So from a business perspective, right, the implication is that all of us will need to be prepared and be equipped for the new normal. Like it or not, the new normal is coming. It's already in process. Some of us are treating staying at home, working from home as the new normal. There are a lot of businesses out there today expect that, they're waiting for the day where this stay-home order will be lifted, and then things will just go back to a normal life. It will just revert to the old normal. It won't. In fact, it will be a race. It will be a race to see who can get ahead of one another. It will be a huge reset from an economic perspective, a business perspective, even from a digital marketing perspective. It's going to be a huge reset to a lot of us. And although some of us may be craving the physical touch and the physical services of interacting with a human being, with one another, and that's true. After being home for about 40 days right now, I also crave the interaction. But guess what? Interactions and convenience are actually two separate things as well. There will still be certain parts of our life where we will still want the automated convenience. We won't become a hermit, okay? I wouldn't say that if you're extrovert, you become an extreme introvert right now. That will probably never happen. We will still want to meet our friends, go out and have activities. But a lot of parts of our life will also remain changed once and for all. And for businesses, if you are still going to rely and cut and go back to the old normal, you are in huge danger. So our suggestion here is that if you would like to brace for the future, you need to take this time, whatever number of days or weeks you have left, to reinvent yourself, to take time to learn, take time to experiment with new ideas, because if you are not, your competitors right now are probably doing it. And when this is lifted, it's a huge race and you may not be able to catch up. Why is this so? Because when this is lifted, there will be a huge increase of competition for attention. And this is fact. And this is probably the biggest prediction that we have and the main prediction that we have moving post this pandemic situation. Why? A lot of businesses right now are holding back, for sure, because of budget constraints, because of staffing constraints, because of whatever constraints that we're going through. That is true. But when all these constraints happening and when companies are playing on a defensive role, consumers are going all out in digital adoption, right? They are consuming content more, they are getting smarter, they are improving their tech literacy. And when this is lifted and when businesses are free from these conditions and when they rush, this creates a situation where the consumers right now are actually smarter and the businesses becomes a lot more desperate. And when you're put into a situation like that, it's going to be a very lopsided economy, especially on the digital aspect for many of us businesses trying to stay alive. Now, I'm not too sure if you actually saw the video of the city of Wuhan, right? So we all know Wuhan was locked down for very long. They went through a very tough time. But after 72 days, if not mistaken, the city of Wuhan finally lifted the lockdown. And if you watch the video, you will see cars and cars jamming up highways, waiting. They were counting down in the cars for it to be lifted, and then they were just rushing out of the city for the first time after 2.5 months. Right? Please don't do that in wherever country they're watching this from. All right, please don't do that. If there's one thing I don't miss, I really don't miss traffic jams. But what I'm trying to get here is that the moment the lockdown was lifted, there's a huge major traffic jam leading out of the city. And I want you to take the same imagination, right, and place it into the digital world. Right now, if you're holding back your budget, many of us are probably doing the same. Imagine when this is lifted. Will you spend that amount? Will you recover those budgets? Will you want to go all out because you have been, quote unquote, suffering for the past 1-2 months? If your answer is yes, then the traffic jam is going to happen. And the consumers will be spoiled by choice because there's so many ads to look at. Everyone will probably be throwing discounts. Everybody's trying to launch a loyalty program. It's going to be a major land grab. Why? Because there are desperate businesses trying to make up for losses. But there are also smarter consumers right now that may not be easily persuaded into making a sale because they are more educated through this process. Now, this is what's happening right now. The main problem or the major problem is that a lot of businesses are still spending a lot of time reacting to this pandemic situation. And they are not putting equal amount of effort to respond to future threats or future opportunities. So what I mean here by being very reactionary is that because of the situation, we then spend a lot of time thinking about how do we manage cash better? How do I ensure my supply chain still comes in? How can I make sales in this period of time? How can I retain these customers? How can I lock them in to tell them, hey, please stay with me? How can I protect my employee, not to let them go? Ideally, not to reduce their pay, to go into all these reactionary methods, right? I'm not saying that these things are wrong, right? Do what you need to do, react when you need to react. You need to play a little bit of a defensive game. Please go and do it because that's how businesses survive. However, if we were to just focus on just this one point, in just being reactionary in what we are doing, the trade-off is this. If we look at the arrows branching out to nowhere, that's probably you. A pure defensive game will get you off course. And when the future happens, we will not be able to respond to it. And that's going to hurt in the long run because out of all the arrows, there will be 1, 2, or a few more that's already preparing to respond to the future. The question is that, will that be you or will that be your competitor? Because this will definitely happen. So the suggestion here is that to overcome this, we'll need to move from this point on reactionary. Yes, do what you need to do from a reactionary point of view, but to also move yourself to the response for the future. You want to be able to use this opportunity to also spend some time in thinking about new strategies, look at the different portfolio of actions that you can make for the future, review your digital marketing plan, right? Look at what you've done before the pandemic, review them, throw away what you have done before, relook at how can you repurpose some of this budget, what of these resources that you have to put together a new portfolio of action. What kind of new returns are you looking for? I'm sure many of us, we made projections coming to 2020 for whether it's digital, whether it's resources, whether it's the revenue projection. These things will definitely be changing. So you want to relook at your return plan, and you also want to draft out different unbiased scenarios for yourself. For example, you want to be able to look at what will then be your immediate 3 steps if scenario A, B, C happens. You want to be able to chart out some future plans apart from playing a pure defensive games. So, in conclusion, right? In conclusion, I'm going to open a tab for Q&A later, but in conclusion, all of us here will need to know that based on all these predictions and observations that we have, you need to understand that now is not the right time to stay idle. If staying idle and waiting it out is a strategy, and it's your current strategy, don't. Please don't. Because things are changing, behavior is changing, businesses that are holding back will have a bigger setback right after this. Yes, I agree. A lot of us are forced into playing the defensive mode. Even bigger companies are not spared. We have seen how different huge companies have been around for many, many years, going through huge changes right now. But the fact is, the world is continuing to change. Digital marketing will change. The digital world will change. And it's to see what are you going to do about it. Are you going to play a reactionary game? Are you going to play a future-looking strategy to respond to that? The choice is yours. So I'm just going to stop talking right now and to see if anyone has any questions if we are watching and you're still on the other line.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen, for this presentation. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please leave them down in the comment section below. And we will get to them as quickly as we can.
While you are probably waiting for questions, probably I would just want to take this chance to share a short case study as well, right? I think a lot of us, I saw this comment right here on Facebook, Terrence, right, talking about us wanting to feel and touch, especially if it's a luxury item, especially if it's expensive, which reminds me of something that's happening in China. So a lot of us know that China is one of the first countries that caught this and is thrown into chaos, right? There's a huge lockdown and so on. And one of the biggest group of businesses that took a big hit were luxury goods. Because it's true, when it comes to luxury items, a lot of us like to see the product, feel the material, put it on to see how it is before we part with our hard-earned money. But what happened in China was interesting because some of the luxury brands, LV in particular, they actually converted their entire store and brought it into WeChat, right? So you can actually follow them on WeChat, and they have a digital consultant, a digital sales consultant that would come on to talk you through your purchase. So I will take out a bag and I'll show it to you and say, hey, you know, is this the style you're looking for? It's great. I'll open it up for you. I'll show you the zippers. I'll show you the linings. And if you're good, you buy it through WeChat Pay. It's amazing, right? So they are not the only ones that do it. Burberry jumped at it as well. There are a few other luxury brands that also use this. And the results was phenomenal, right? So statistics shown that when they did this in February, it was for Valentine's Day, and the sales of 2020 Valentine's Day in the midst of coronavirus in China major lockdown, nobody can get out from their houses. These sales surpassed 2019's sale, and it was a
Dang.
record. It's crazy, right? That people
Yeah.
actually spend just through a screen like that. Of course, many of us will argue to say, hey, maybe this won't happen in other countries. But hey, right now, looking at the rise of e-wallets, you'll be very surprised that there are other products, other commodities going through the same way right now.
Yeah. It's quite interesting because it's like I think the amount that you spend through a screen right now is slowly increasing as we go. So before that, you might be a bit more like, okay, maybe I'll just buy this from Lazada. But then now eventually people are going into laptops, into something more expensive, right? Phones, all these things are not cheap. Okay, a few thousand ringgit is not a small amount, but it is. But people are still willing to spend, and they're okay with going through an e-commerce platform. So we have a few questions here. We have one that asks, what kind of social media content are people most interested in at the moment?
Okay, very good question. As you could probably already guess, the social media content that's really taking waves right now, it's actually video content, right? It used to be images, it used to be a lot more GIFs and infographics and all that, but since 2019 coming to 2020, it was like fuel into fire, especially during this lockdown period. Video content is on a huge rise. Now, there's a huge reason behind that, right? So let me just walk you through very quickly on this. So the reason why video content is really picking up, the first reason is it comes down to the technical implementations of all these tools. Let's just talk about Facebook and Instagram, just these two platforms, right? You realize that videos automatically play. So this means that whether you are ready to watch a video, or if you are not planning to watch a video, the video forces itself on you. And us being humans, when we scroll through a feed, a moving content usually captures our attention, and that creates a short pause of time. And if you're able to capture the first 3 seconds of your audience, that's a win, right? Because that means I'm actually watching that particular video. And it's not only that. You look at, again, these two platforms, the second reason on the technical part is that they have a dedicated video feed, right? On Instagram, you have your IGTV. On Facebook, you have the video tab. If you have a smart TVs at home, there's the Facebook Live, there's the YouTube Live. Videos are just keep coming at you, and us as consumers, we are consuming more videos than before. One of the main reasons as well that I'm convinced that videos are the most popular content of right now is actually TikTok. Now, think about it, right? There was never a time before this that any of us would imagine having a 15-second or a 30-second video, us doing random dances in front of a screen or trying to do a simple skit would actually be popular. We'll probably think that it's a silly thing to do, it won't take off, but guess what? TikTok managed to do it. And it's amazing because TikTok's average daily consumption per user, right, is 40 minutes. 40 minutes per user average consumption span. Now, 40 minutes may not sound like a lot of time, but if you divide it by 15 seconds or 30 seconds per video, that is a lot of videos being consumed on an average user on TikTok daily. So if you say that it's not video, it's something else, I don't know what else it is, but video is definitely taking social media by storm right now.
So guys, get on TikTok. Not sponsored by TikTok, by the way, but yeah. Okay, we have more questions coming in. Any comments on the tourism industry after this?
Well, I think tourism industry is definitely on a decline right now. Many tourism companies, whether you are OTA or whether you are a hotel, whether you're airlines, it's very evident that a lot of us are not traveling. But an interesting find, right, is that although the purchases of tourism-related services and activities has actually dropped, it's actually declining, but the interest for tourism and travel is on a very, very high note. A lot of us are looking at pictures of Bali and in Australia and all these dream destinations of Japan, Korea, just longing for the day to travel again. There is actually increased search results for images of these places, videos of these places. If you go on Instagram, a lot of us are doing throwbacks of our past travels. There is actually a huge interest towards travel. So if you're asking me whether travel will rebound after this, I would say that it will take probably a little bit more time before the confidence to travel, because remember, people are still worried they'll get sick, right? So there will need to be a period of time where people regain their confidence to travel. But when that happens, the uptake for travel will definitely restore itself because the interest is there. In fact, I was just casually browsing through some hotels globally, right? So I looked at Marriott, I looked at Four Seasons, I looked at quite a few of hotels, and what they're doing is quite interesting. So these hotels right now have also jumped onto the video call bandwagon. And if I'm not mistaken, it's actually Marriott. If you go to Marriott's Facebook page, you'll probably see it, not sponsored by them, by the way, but you will see that they actually have, that they posted out some virtual backgrounds of popular destinations around the world in their hotel, right? So they actually took photos of different destinations across the hotels globally, and they allow you to download these photos to either use it as a desktop wallpaper or a Zoom call virtual background, so that you can put it up on a Zoom call, change your virtual background as though you are lounging within a Marriott hotel, and of course there's a Marriott branding on the photo, right? So tourism industry is also trying to stay relevant, which is great, but it will definitely recover after this.
We're not sponsored by TikTok or Marriott, just saying. But it would be quite cool for you guys to try it out if you guys are keen to try it out. We have one that asks, any advice on how to educate more of the Gen X and boomers to be more tech literate?
Oh, that is a very good and also very challenging question, right? But I think it's a very good opportunity right now for them to actually educate them or to train them to a bit more tech literate. Now, fortunately or unfortunately for in this pandemic situation, a lot of the older generation, whether they are boomer or Gen X, are also forced to understand a little bit more of a tech. Now, for some, navigating a PC may still be a stretch, right? Because of the buttons, they're afraid they'll break something, which is fine. But it has also shown that despite whether you are a boomer or not, navigating what we have in our pockets, our smartphones, are actually quite simple. So I would say it really depends on how tech literate you want them to be. If you want them to become a power user, that may take a lot more effort and patience. That's fact. But if you're asking them to say, hey, use WhatsApp for communication, you can type, or if not, record a video of yourself, or if not, record your voice and send it over as a means of communication, that is something that is a low barrier of entry. So what I found interesting, this is true observation, it's easier to start them off with communication, right? Because it's a lot easier for them to learn when there's feedback. So it's like how we learn in school back then, right? If you're just going to read on ourselves, it gets boring. But if a group of friends or in a classroom environment, it becomes easier. So similar when it comes to tech, if I'm starting off with just WhatsApp, right? And if I send a message, somebody replies me, I get it, I like it. And that's how I learn how to use a particular platform. And then you slowly scale the experiences. Once you're familiar with one particular app, move on. Right now, maybe watch YouTube. Did you know that you can search videos on YouTube? Here's how you do it. And then when they're familiar, you move them on. So it's kind of like a progression for them to be from one end to another end. I don't think any of us can just go from zero and then immediately become an expert in going on Lazada, signing a credit card and buying something. No, it is a progress, and it's a progress they will need to experience themselves.
Yeah, I think the need for communication is strong. And I think my grandparents just learned how to use video call. So that's a win for them. So you can teach an old dog new tricks, right? All right, let's move on. We have another tourism related one. But this one is more towards if you have any suggestion on how a traditional tourism business could digitalize to compete against the OTA competitors like Agoda or Booking.com.
Okay. Well, I think to answer this question, the traditional tourism companies will need to first answer a very simple question. What is your unique differentiator compared to the OTAs? Now, the OTAs definitely has a bunch of strengths, right? And users like OTAs because of the breadth of selection that they're able to give, the breadth of services they're able to offer, the ease of transacting and purchasing, and there's a long list of what OTAs can actually provide, and that's why they're so successful and huge. But there is also, I believe, another bunch of unique selling propositions or differentiation points that only a traditional tourism company can offer. And you will need to actually be able to list them down. That's step number one. Number two is that if you have them, you then need to find ways to translate it to be communicated digitally. What is it? Is it that personalization touch that you can give, that you can go one-on-one with every customer to create that ideal holiday for you? This is something an OTA will never invest on because they're going mass, right? But if you're traditional, that could be your point, personalization. Maybe you're able to say, I'm able to plan your entire trip. Leave it to me. I will customize it. I just charge you a little bit for my time, but I'll give you the best experience that you can ever experience. What you can do is to sell on your content, your passion and your knowledge in all the countries that you actually fly to. What are the experiences of individual customers? And because you are on ground, it's your business and you have been doing it traditionally, you can actually showcase an actual experience, right? How is it like on the tour bus? Maybe you can demystify certain negative impression towards tour groups. How does the hotel usually look like? Not every tourism company will bring you to all the places to force you to buy stuff. You want to be able to showcase some of these things, and if you're able to translate that to different types of content on digital, I think you definitely get the win right there.
All right. I hope that answers your question. Let's move on. So we have quite a number of questions actually. Let's go to, now people are going into property and mortgage. So any advice on doing digital marketing? One on mortgage. Another one is for the property industry. Do you think the entire sales journey and conversion will be able to make it via virtual experience?
Okay. I think that because when we talk about properties, right, we are not talking about 1,000 ringgit or 10,000 ringgit. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, in fact, in the millions, right? So high value transacted items, unfortunately, when it comes to digital, still could not be realized. After all, we don't buy property just by swiping our credit card. That rarely ever happens. However, digital can continue to be relevant even at this time at different parts of the funnel, right? So if you're familiar with the marketing funnel, there's the awareness phase, there's the interest, there's the consideration, and then the conversion and retention, right? So from a digital perspective, the property industry can still use this opportunity to raise a lot of awareness. You can still use this opportunity to raise a lot of interest and consideration. So what I like to talk about when it comes to industries like this, I always try to talk about the concept of making a future sale or creating a future demand. It's like even buying a car right now, right? You probably wouldn't think of buying a car right now because, well, you can't even use a car right now. So you probably won't think of it. But there's a lot of room for future opportunities or future demand or future sales if you're able to drive up the interest right now. So if you're talking about driving up interest, here's the thing. What can you do? Can you write an article to demystify some of the misconceptions or the concerns of existing buyers and consumers? Can you create any form of content to encourage the desire of customers to say, hey, yeah, I think I need to buy a bigger square feet house because being stuck in this box for the past 30 days, if anything of similar in the future, I really don't want it. Right? So you want to capitalize on key thought processes and messages that can resonate very well with your buyers. You can even send out videos maybe if you're an agent or you are in the property line, you probably already have videos of all your properties. It's a great chance to actually showcase them, put it up, and let people experience how it is or see the units or actually get ideas. I think the key word here that many brands are trying to go to is trying to be a lot more inspirational than being selling and pushy. Right? I can't tell you how many texts I have received in this season, right? Asking me if I want to buy a new place, I want to rent a new place. It's insane. And all they do is they just send a message to say, hi, Mr./Miss, not even personalized. That is a problem over there. Hi, Mr./Miss, are you interested in this property? Reply yes if you are. Come on. You expect to make a sale like that? No pictures, no information. There's nothing to even lure my interest. You don't even know me. Hi, Mr./Miss. Really? Right? So put in a bit of personalization, put in a bit of effort, keep the relationship, keep the lead warm. I think that's what you want to do now. And that's the thing that you can do right now before this is lifted.
Yeah, I think at this time it's good to be inspirational, give them a good idea of what could be and what can be and the hopes of like maybe buying a new property. I think that would be quite cool to kind of go into.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on. I think this is quite a tough question, but I'll just give it to you anyway.
Okay.
So it says, in your opinion, what type of business will most likely be obsolete after this?
What type of businesses would be obsolete? Well, it is a very tough question, and I don't want to pinpoint certain industry or type of business, but I can categorize them, right? So if we talk about businesses that are obsolete, there is a huge prediction at least. Businesses that have no tech adoption at all, zero, that remains the same, are most likely to be obsolete. So it doesn't matter even if you're in tourism, property, tech, marketing, sales, insurance, whatever it is. If you're going to remain the same without any technology adoption, a zero, meaning zero digital marketing, zero automation, zero implementation of tech to ease up operations or to ease customer service, zero interaction with customers online, these are the businesses who definitely go obsolete. Even if you are just selling burgers, no offense, just by the side of the street, without any digital awareness at all, these are the businesses that is very likely to become irrelevant moving forward. Simply because it comes back to what we have been talking in the past 30 minutes, right? With the increment of tech literacy, with the increment of confidence in purchasing online. And let's face it, a lot of times today, our purchase decision is driven by two things. One, the number of times we see the items on our screen. Number two, it's also the hype that is generated through our friends that we keep hearing from. Meaning that if I were to see this pair of shoes that pops up on my phone, my iPad, when I'm watching a video, that's remarketing, by the way, not some magic trick. But if I see it often enough, it creates a desire in me to say, yeah, maybe I will check out this pair of shoes. Or if it's a brand where I see my friends keep posting about, keep talking about, it's like, I don't know whether you are similar as me, but when I look at my Instagram feed, when I look at Facebook, I see all my friends working out religiously, right? Doing 30 minutes, and then I just feel that, okay, I really need to do something else. I'm missing out today, right? So when it comes to purchasing something online or supporting a business or discovering a new business or service, a lot of us have shifted towards being influenced by the screen. So if companies decide to not put themselves out there in any measure, these are the companies who take the biggest flag. These are the companies who become obsolete post this situation moving forward.
Okay. It's called peer pressure. So the need to work out. Okay. There's some other interesting ones. What are the touch points businesses should start looking at aside from website or YouTube? For example, those traditional offline businesses and those that only use social media. So I assume that it's from if you're offline, and what other touch points should they be looking out for?
Great. The best way to get started, right? I tell this to every client we meet or every new startup that comes up. one of the first digital marketing efforts you want to do, it's actually not setting up your Facebook page nor your Instagram handle, contrary to popular belief. Many of us think that if I want to start something, I'm going to go social media first. Not really, right? What you really want to focus on, although the question said aside from website and YouTube, website should always be your number one. Even if you are again using the burger stall by the street, you would want to first start a website and do what we call search engine optimization, or SEO in short. Now, SEO is very different from SEM, search engine marketing, right? Because search engine marketing meaning that you need to invest in money, you need to spend some ads, you need to pay Google, and you get ranked on search engines. But search engine optimization is actually an organic process of getting yourself discovered. Now, why are websites or SEO important, and it should be your first line of marketing? For a very simple reason, all of us search on Google.
Yeah.
Think about it. In the past 30 days or in the past week, how many times have you switched on Google and searched for something? It could be how to fix that fan that is broken down at home. Maybe you have some plumbing issues. Maybe you're looking for the best food to have when you're breaking fast today. Maybe you're looking at what should you cook tomorrow because you run out of your recipes. Maybe you're finding out what's the best workout routine without equipment at home. Whatever it is, we go to search. And Google is still the world's most popular search engine. This means that if you're not discoverable there, and if you can't make yourself discoverable there, you automatically lose out on a lot of traffic. You will keep that as your first line, then only you talk about what kind of social media platforms. Now, if the question is turned the other way around to say, what kind of social media platforms should I be looking at apart from maybe YouTube, then it comes back to you, right? As the business owner, what platform best highlights your product? Is it in the form of videos? Is it in the form of short stories? Is it in the form of articles? Is it in the form of comments and pictures and whatnot? After that, you also then need to know who are your audience? Where are these people hanging out on? Are there professionals on LinkedIn? Are there the artsy people that wants to be inspired on Pinterest? Are there more of the social entertainment type that is on TikTok? What is it? So the platform is actually just a tool for you to reach out to your audience and then fulfill what your product is best being delivered on. If you're able to put this into perspective, then that will decide which channels to go to.
All right. So we have 3 more questions, like final questions. I think one of the question is if there's any advice running an online perfume business, but I think you kind of answered a little bit in the previous one because you mentioned depending where your audience are, what you should be opening, which platform you should even be on. So that is the advice. Just know where your customers are and go on that platform and market on that platform itself. Okay, let's move on. One of the question is, I'll try and reword it. They mentioned that there are a lot of previous advertising materials that are relevant and some won't be anymore, right? So they're asking if there's any online marketing tips that can be taken advantage of when advertising during a crisis like this.
Okay, I think advertising in a crisis like this is very, very, very tricky. I'm sure you have seen people being extra sensitive in the smallest things, right? How you sell, the words you use, whether you're environmental conscious or not, whether you are looking out for pets and animals and human rights and all of these things. So advertising within a crisis is actually a totally different ball game altogether. So you mentioned previous advertising materials. I don't know what advertising materials are there, but what I would do is to look at these advertising materials and ask myself, hey, are these materials too salesy? Is it too focused upon me, my product? Is it just me, myself, and I? Or is there any marketing materials or advertising materials that can actually add value to my customers or to my audience? Is there anything that can show that, hey, I'm listening, I'm supporting you, hey, I'm journeying with you, it's a hard time, but I'm here, let's support one another, let's see through this thing together. So it really depends on the messaging, on what kind of advertising materials that you have. Whether it's in the form of video, articles, text, it does not matter. Most importantly is the delivery of the message. Put more emphasis on your message. Make sure that you don't deviate too far from your brand. But at the same time, you don't want to appear ignorant to the situation that's happening right now, because that's the last thing you want to do, receiving huge negative impressions because you're out there just promoting yourself, oblivious to the situation that all of us are in.
Yeah. Okay, last one. What kind of content post-COVID-19 or post-pandemic would you advise, since it was mentioned earlier that they are likely lifting the MCO? There will be a booming in industries throwing out discounts, promos. So what kind of content would you advise after this whole MCO ends? Yeah.
That's a very good question, and it's a concern where many people are actually having right now. So good thought thinking about that. But let me be honest, if you were to, the content really does not matter. Okay, I think the content really does not matter, because again, it comes down to the messaging part of things, right? But I think it's a matter of timing and approach. So this means that if you are going to wait for the announcement for MCO or circuit breaker or the stay-home order to be lifted, and then you start pushing out content, that is where the traffic starts. That is where the land grabbing starts, the confusion and the choices of consumers suddenly increases, because everyone right now is trying to compete for views and attention and conversion, right? But what if you are already putting out content and messaging at this point of time leading towards an announcement? What I'm trying to get at is that, what if right now you are already gathering leads, you are collecting orders or interest, so that you already know at this point of time which customer is likely to buy your product. Maybe you have a waiting list of 50, 100 customers. Maybe you can already put out a lead form and you're already collecting a database of 1,000 people that's wanting to view your property or to come into your showroom to see your car, or wants to go to one-on-one consultation with you face-to-face to consult on whatever areas of expertise. I say, put out your content, build it now leading towards the end of MCO, so that when MCO is lifted, when everybody is rushing for land grab, all you need to focus upon is conversion, right? To call these people up to say, hey, how are you? You know, right now it's lifted. Do you want to have that meetup? Are you ready to buy? You said you're interested in this order that I have, right? Can I deliver it to you? That is the best time to do so. So split it up. Don't go for the land grab, but do it right now.
Yeah, I would say consistency is key. So if you're constantly putting up content, maybe let's say we talk about the funnel, if you're kind of targeting the awareness side and the consideration side a little bit during this period of time, then you kind of already solved the first two parts of the funnel. You just need to go straight in right after that into conversion, or you already have like the data necessary, right? All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for your questions. Those were very good questions. I hope it wasn't too difficult.
It was
got
good.
our brains, got Jen's brains working. So thank you so much for all your questions. So before I end this stream, I'm just gonna share a little bit about what's happening with Open Academy. So we actually, if you can see on the screen, we are actually giving you an early access to our digital marketing starter kit. So if you scan the QR code, or if you can't scan the QR code, you can actually key in the link to go to the product page for this digital marketing starter kit. So what it is it's basically bite-sized content. We have video content, quotes, we have survey questions, we have action items, we have facts within one platform itself, easily digestible type of content where you can click into it and basically watch short videos. Like Jen mentioned, video is very important. So videos that you can actually go in and watch. And the topics within this digital marketing starter kit is, as it says, we are giving you a a starter kit for digital marketing. So if you want to know how to start digital marketing, you don't know where to go, what to do, this is where you can go. We kind of give you the foundation of what you can do to start a digital marketing strategy. And basically what entails a digital marketing strategy, what is the foundation for every single digital marketing strategy that you are about to create. So this is what it is. If you scan the QR code, you'll be able to find out a lot more information on the website, on the landing page itself. And we actually have a special coupon code for you today because you tuned in. Thank you so much for giving us your public holiday. But we do have a special coupon code. If you key in OA webinar when you check out, you actually get 50 ringgit off this whole starter kit. So all you have to do is just literally, it's case sensitive. So make sure you key in OA webinar in capital letters and you will get 50 ringgit off this starter kit. So this is all I want to share with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. So before we actually end, if you would like to know more about Open Academy or about what we do, maybe some of the other sessions that are upcoming, you want more updates, feel free to go to this bit.ly link and fill out your information if you haven't already. So if some of you who have registered previously, we have your information. But if you would like to give us your information again, sure. But for some of you who are new, who just tuned in, who are interested, please key in your information there and we will reach out to you with all further information about upcoming sessions. We won't spam you, don't worry. So we will make sure the information that we send you or things that we're sending you are relevant things, things that you would like to know, whether it's about digital marketing or upcoming sessions for Open Academy. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you around soon.